Then Caesar and the Pope hastened to lay hands on the heritage, under pretense of seeking for the papers of the dead man. But the inheritance consisted in this only: a scrap of paper on which Spada had written, "I bequeath to my beloved nephew my coffers, my books, and amongst others my breviary with the gold corners, which I beg he will preserve in remembrance of his affectionate uncle." The heirs sought everywhere, admired the breviary, laid hands on the furniture, and were greatly astonished that Spada, the rich man, was really the most miserable of uncles. No treasures, unless they were those of science, contained in the library and laboratories. That was all. Caesar and his father searched, examined, scrutinized, but found nothing, or at least very little, not exceeding a few thousand crowns in plate, and about the same in ready money. But the nephew had time to say to his wife before he expired, "Look well among my uncle's papers. There is a will." They sought even more thoroughly than his august heirs had done, but it was fruitless. There were 2 places and a vineyard behind the Palatine Hill, but in these days landed property had not much value, and the 2 palaces and the vineyard remained to the family since they were beneath the rapacity of the Pope and his son. Months and years rolled on. Pope VI died, poisoned. You know by what mistake. Caesar, poisoned at the same time, escaped by shedding his skin like a snake, but the new skin was spotted by the poison till it looked like a tiger's. Then, compelled to quit Rome, he went and got himself obscurely killed in a night skirmish, scarcely noticed in history. Where there's a will, there's a way. I don't know why I said that like Matthew Lillard in Scream, but Spada hid his will pretty good and let the nephew know, or maybe the nephew assumed? It doesn't say. It just said the nephew had time to say to his wife before he expired, "Look well among my uncle's papers, there is a will." So how does he know that there was a will? That's curious. In the last passage we read, it said that the uncle tried to reach the nephew and couldn't before their fated dinner, where they were both poisoned by mushrooms. And also, is it coincidence Alexander VI and his son Caesar Borgia were poisoned at the same time as well later? Only Caesar Borgia being the one that survives. And then, my goodness, okay, so we talked a little bit about Dumas kind of curious about legacy and how it's written in the history pages due to his father's treatment by Napoleon. Now, Dumas is telling the Count of Monte Cristo, but he's having a character, Faria, tell this story within the story, and he's even having Faria note that Caesar Borgia died as barely a footnote in history. I find that kind of curious. There's another example of the motifs that he constantly explores in his writing. So, again, as I went back and kind of looked at where we're at with this story, the purpose of the story that the Faria is telling, it's about how the treasure came to be, and it's passing hand to hand, growing, being hidden, concealed. Here, it just kind of disappears, doesn't it? It just kind of ups and vanishes. Where does it go? As Caesar Borgia and Alexander scour all of his belongings and properties, they can't find anything amounting to a few thousand crowns. And yet, it went somewhere, and that there's this will somewhere. Where could those possibly be? I have a sneaking suspicion that Faria is going to tell us eventually. And is it worth noting here that Dumas is kind of painting out the Pope, Alexander VI, and Caesar Borgia, men of the cloth, representatives of Christianity, as like corrupt burglars, essentially. Now, he might just be reporting history, but at the same time, this treasure is fictional. So, and their pursuit of it is fictional. I mean, he's talking about events that happened 400 years before the events of the Count of Monte Cristo. So that has to be a commentary. He's inventing these things. He's making these real characters do these sordid deeds. That's kind of a pointed commentary on Christianity and organized religion, I think. I guess he's not really commenting on Christian values, but he is showing the corruption of power, or that the individual players within it can be corrupted. They're poisoners, they're looters, and they are who is the front of this organization. So I think he's more showing the hypocrisy of powerful institutions more than he is commenting upon Christian or Catholic values. But maybe there's more to come. I guess I don't know Dumas' relationship with religion yet. I'm curious if any of the biographies go into it, but nothing I've read has really commented upon that. Just find it interesting that if you are writing history, you have a little bit of control over what you say, how you depict it, the things you put in, the things you leave out, and ultimately what that says about the version of history you're telling. So what do you think? What do you think he's saying about the Pope and Cæsar Borgia in this moment? Let me know. Hop on the Discord. The link is in the show notes for today, as it is every day. I want to hear what you got to say about it. So join up there and start chatting. Okay, I'm going to end it here for today. I will see you all here tomorrow as we continue the story within the story of the Count of Monte Cristo. Until then, okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.